Well, the first real experience I had with death was the death of my father. And I was a 12-year-old girl who was not expecting anything like that. I had a very charismatic dad who was like the center of my universe, he and my mother, and they were very, very special people. They were funny and smart and classy and witty and full of life. They had a lot of joie. And my father just suddenly died. And he was only 52. He was a very young man. At the time, I didn't realize how young he was. And then right after that, a grandmother who lived with me died, and my two favorite aunts in a matter of 2 years.
I actually haven't had anyone close to me die, and I worked for hospice, so it's kind of interesting to not have had that personal experience and to be with others who are going through it. I feel, though, right now, in some ways, I'm watching my grandmother die. I spent a lot of time with her. I grew up with her, and she's had several falls in the past month. And so I think I'm always thinking about what it's going to be like when she's dead. So in some ways, I feel like I'm constantly living that.
Actually, separation from those that we love is always very, very difficult. The first time it happened, it was with my dad. He was very sick. I was there in the hospital room when he passed, the moment that he passed. He was suffering, surely suffering. His body started to shut down, and the family, meaning my mom, my brother, myself, my half-sister, her kids, my brother-in-law, we were all there with him. And we had talked to his doctor about helping him to go peacefully. So the doctor agreed that that was not a bad choice. I lost my dad, and that was very tough. And I wasn't sure that I could get through it, but I did.
The first person in my life that was close to me that died was actually my father-in-law. 2 years after getting married, and he died in a car accident. And he loved me a lot, so that was tough for me, but the toughest part was that I had to go to my wife's workplace and tell her that her dad had been killed in a car accident. That's the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in my whole life.
I had a boss that died, and I had worked for him for about 7 years. And so it was kind of like extended family, and it was sudden, and it was horrible. I mean, I remember getting that call like it was yesterday, and it's been maybe 4 or 5 years, and just having to call people, like try to help the family out as much as you can so they don't have to do as much. And I remember the funeral very vividly, and I hate having that picture of him in the coffin. But then when you think of that, I just try to switch it to, the things that he's such a great person, and just try to focus on those good memories instead of the last memory of him.
I have never had a family member or even a grandparent yet pass away, but I have had a friend pass away, and it's strange because I was upset, initially, and then her funeral or viewing approached, and I went, and it was a lot better than I thought it would be. I saw, her, and it wasn't her. And so ever since then, I've been totally okay. Like, I see her and other people all the time, and I dream about her. It's so weird. It's not like a super emotional upset, like I can't go on anymore, but it's more of like I'm always thinking of the person.
I have had people in my life that were close to me die. I lost my grandfather recently. He wasn't really that close to me, but he was somebody in my life. I've lost friends in college and high school. But when I was 17, my dad died, which, now I'm 30. It's been a long time, but this still happens. It was really traumatic. It was very sudden. What can you say? It caused a lot of problems for the rest of my life, but I think that it had to happen for other things in life to happen. So, for me personally, losing my dad and losing him in the way that I did, so suddenly, I lost him in my arms. It's hard. And it's hard for a kid. I was just a kid. So I missed being an adult and having my dad. So emotionally, that's hard. It's hard because, superficial things, there's always that jar of spaghetti sauce you can't open. There's always those questions about getting your oil changed. And you want to just call your dad. But so dealing with the repercussions of that, it took me like 13 years to be able to accept that this happened. And I think it took me that long to get over post-traumatic stress disorder, which is really horrible. And I'm really proud of myself for being able to get past that. I never thought there would be a time where I could see the back of an ambulance and not lose my shit, or hear a certain song and be able to enjoy the song and not immediately burst into tears or smell that certain smell. And it still hits me sometimes, but it would be without question. It would just be, I was a mess. I'm really glad that that's behind me.
I have had someone close to me die. I had both my parents pass on from cancer, and that was just horrible. Just to see their suffering, to see their pain, to see the end of their life come, and they weren't ready for it. They both died in their 60s, and that's still pretty young. So cancer is horrible, and to see it really take their toll and ravage their bodies. It was hard to see. You can never do enough for somebody who's dying, and so it was intense. It was hard. It was a lot of emotion stuff, and it was one of those things that you have to accept and learn from. But it was extremely hard, and they did it with grace and they did it with strength, and they taught me a lot about what I have coming. So they showed me how to die gracefully, to not be afraid of death. That you can do it at your own pace. That you have some control, even though the disease might be taking its toll on you physically. You have the choice of how you're going to live each day that you have left, and you can die with dignity. That you can surround yourself with love, and it doesn't have to be this thing that we're afraid of. And that ultimately, maybe it's not the end. That maybe it's just preparation for the next chapter. So it doesn't have to be this moment of finality that a lot of us think it is.